Good evening, Vancouver. Welcome back to Canucks After Dark, October 23rd. A lovely Monday with the Canucks. Not in as great of a spot as last week, but still above 500, coming off of a win. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Canuck Clay. How are you doing today, Clay?
Parker, I'm great. I feel great that I'm here actually for the start of the show, unlike last week where you were carrying the ball like you usually do, even when I'm sitting here next to you. But yes, here from the start. And I see we're both sipping beverages. I don't know about you. Do you have a funny feeling in your throat too, or?
I was loud this weekend. I was at a couple football games. I learned that at a Huskies game, you bark on third down, and that took my voice away pretty quickly. And then the Seahawks game didn't help either. So it is coffee. It's not tea or anything, but that might have been a better choice.
Yeah, I got my hot chocolate here. I don't want to show you because I'll probably spill it on the keyboard. But did the Huskies win? I know the Seahawks won. Did the Huskies win too?
Yes. The Huskies were favored by 27.5 points, and they won by 8. They did not have a great performance, but they did pull it out.
But they did win. Wow. So you were 2-0 on the weekend. I was here manning the fort for game over. Canucks won. So overall, really good weekend for our teams then.
Great weekend. Yeah, I got to watch the first period of the Panthers game on Saturday before the Huskies game. But after that, I was just highlights. So I might need a little bit of backup when we get to that point.
That's awesome. By the way, I know we're going to talk about this. Canucks are 3-2, as you hinted. The Canucks did not win their third game last season until November 4th, their 11th game of the season. So 6 games ahead already. That's pretty good.
I was going to say they didn't win their first game for a while either. It was a good game, at least from what I saw this last weekend. A scary week before that, though. We were sort of joking before this that we end up talking to each other now so much with like the game over stuff, and I was on your show, but like and now like doing videos. So like we feel like we've talked about all this before, but we haven't. Like the loss to Philly, the loss to Tampa, those hadn't happened since the last time we were together. So we'll have a little bit of a chat about those because they were a jarring juxtaposition from the first 2 games, or especially the first game. But it was good that they got back in the win column on Saturday.
I love the use of the word juxtaposition. I'm not going to try and segue this. I'm just going to say, Spartan, thank you for being a member and using your 1-month membership message. Lucas, thank you for being a member and using your 15-month membership message. Lucas, $5. My schedule allows for Mondays pending events, so I'm open if you need a sub-host. We thank you. We will keep that in mind, and thank you for the donation, Lucas. And Carol, being the legend that she is, 10 memberships for Canucks After Dark. So thanks, Spartan, Lucas, and Carol, for your generosity to get us going today. That's awesome.
And for those of you who are listening after the fact, that's your cue to get in early. Because sometimes, hey, there was only maybe 40 people when those 10 were dropped, and those people had some good odds to pick up a membership, get some fun emotes in the chat, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much, Carol.
Love it. Yeah, that's so funny you mentioned that, Parker, about because of the crossovers or the content that we both produce together now. We probably produce more content together than we do separately. But yeah, it feels like we talked about things, but no, Canucks actually were 1-2 since we last got together.
Yeah, it was, and that game on Saturday changes the tide a lot, right? They go and lose that game, especially up 3-1, and then those 2 Reinhart goals. If Florida ends up finishing that one off, now we're on some real damage control, right? We're like, what has happened in a week? But that 5-3 game, they have those 2 goals. This team loses those games a lot in the past, where they blow the lead. I mean, you think back to the opening night last year, that 3-0 lead against Edmonton, and they blow that. That sort of felt like it had a similar vibe potentially, but Kuzmenko gets a nice goal, and of course we'll go game by game. But that game is doing some heavy lifting for the mood of tonight's show, I think.
That's a really, really good point. Even before the game on Saturday, we were talking about they're 2-2, and because of the order it went in, 2 wins then 2 losses. Yes, we were on a 2-game lose streak as opposed to a 2-game winning streak. So who knows what it'd been like in the city if indeed it was 3 straight. And by the way, Antagonist uses a monthly membership message as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we'll have the 3 games that we'll recap, and then we have 3 games to preview as well, as we'll have the Tuesday, Friday, Saturday combo that the Canucks have going this week, and then they don't play again until the following Tuesday, Halloween night, which should be a fun one.
All right. Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Okay. This week it was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And that Tuesday one, ugly. I know there's only 5 games. Yes, ugly.
Very ugly. And it didn't start too bad. I mean, you look at those first 2 games, they win the first one pretty handily. The second one, they survive, and you're thinking, hey, that was Edmonton. This is their chance to go out and show against a Flyers team that's not supposed to be good. Go out and show that, hey, yeah, we are a better team now, right? We should go out and they should just take it to them. It should be a pretty tidy, like a 4-2 win, something along those lines.
Yeah.
First period was pretty square. Shots were 11-10, but Philly scores 2. You have, again, I hate it when you have guys who you've never heard of. Igor Zamula, 23-year-old undrafted defenseman, gets his first NHL goal less than 2 minutes into the game. And then you have Couturier scoring near the end of the first period. And it's 2-0 Philly, and it was a pretty even period.
Matt, Parker, I just had major deja vu because I realized why it feels like we talked about this game before. Because we've talked about this game before. I had Canucks After Dark on Tuesday, and you were not Canucks After Dark. That's this show. See, I get so confused. I had Game Over, and you were my guest because that was before
your guest on that.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay,
we've talked about this.
So much sense.
So for everyone here that did not see that, we will still do this game justice. Yeah, that Zamula goal, a minute 45, and that was the puck that came out of the corner. And it was kind of a fluky play how it got back to Zamula, but then Garland, not winning any grit votes here, just kind of does this little flyby on his one knee.
Yeah.
And then you had Juleson that was kind of in no man's land, halfway between the goaltender and you don't want him at the point, but you don't want him like screening your goaltender. So unfortunately, that was an early shot past Demko.
Yeah, it was the start of the negative Juleson sort of push that came. And that really leads into the second period where the Canucks got absolutely shelled by, again, the Philadelphia Flyers. Shots in this period were 22, which I believe is the record for most saves for Thatcher Demko in a period in his career, compared to 3 for the Vancouver Canucks.
How does that happen? Seriously, how does that happen?
I don't know. It's very impressive to only get 3 shots in a period and somehow allow 22. Like to stay in your own zone for that long. And the icing on the cake there is Demko stopped all 22. Wow. You look at the periods here. You're like, oh, okay, well, Philly probably put it away in the second. No, the Canucks were still alive after this period. And there was still that little shred of hope somehow, even though they got dominated. But yeah, just an absolutely atrocious period.
And actually, Parker, just before we hopefully skip over the second and go to the third in a second, I remember on Game Over, you were telling me that you did not think Couturier's penalty shot was warranted because he still got a good scoring chance off, correct?
Right. Yeah, because it's supposed to rob you of a scoring chance is when a penalty shot's awarded, and it clearly didn't. I mean, he did get a clear look. But they gave to him anyways, and he scored. I mean, if they had a power play, maybe they score there anyways, because it was warranting a penalty. It wasn't that it was a clean play. It didn't meet the criteria for a penalty shot, I thought.
Right. Fair enough. Okay. And then we joked around about how he came in kind of half sideways, half backwards, and then it's so hard for the goaltender. You have no clue when he's going to release, and Couturier does have a really good release for sure. Mm-hmm. Okay, so second period, 22-3. Yeah, it's crazy to think that it can be so lopsided, but spoiler alert, we see it again in Game 4.
Yeah.
And then,
And the third period, again, the Canucks sort of came back. Usually you expect score effects to play a role here, and the losing team usually has the most shots, in the third period. The Canucks outshoot them 12-10. Total shots were 42-26. What's surprising to me, Carter Hart was first star, and they put Couturier, and I guess you got to put Zamula in for his first goal. Demko could have easily been a star in this game.
40 saves,
yeah, 40 or 40 of 42. But of course, the home team picks their
sure.
John Garrett last year wasn't given. If it was the reversed roles, he's not giving the opposing goalie a star. But you put up a 952. That's a pretty good night, you would think.
Yeah. So you walk out of that game, you're still up to you're 2-1. You're 1 game over 500, and obviously we're not going to go 82-0. So the good thing is at least Thursday's game was a much better effort, a more competitive game.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, we said it's the Flyers. It's a team that they should beat. Flyers actually are doing okay. Like they're top of the Metro right now, right? Like they're 3-1-1, and obviously that game plays a part in it. But They have looked a little bit better than people expected. So maybe that's a bit of a silver lining we can take from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you mentioned we go to the game against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. And this one was a lot more interesting, I will say. Not as much of a dominant performance, of course, until we get back to that second period. But yeah, this one starts off, again, pretty even first. But it's a Nick Paul goal on the power play, putting Tampa in front. The Canucks are getting scored on early. This one wasn't super early, but they're allowing the first goal, which is not ideal.
That's right. And this is the Tyler Myers game. Now that I remember it, man, it feels so long ago, but it was only 3 nights ago, Thursday night, 4 nights ago. And yeah, this is the one where the Canucks actually were killing a penalty, had control of the puck, and it wasn't just Myers. I think Joshua or someone else passed it back into our zone, and then they start fumbling with it.
Yeah, well, they were doing okay, right? Like they played a bit of keep away, and that was fine. They got a little scrambly a couple of times, but then it gets all the way back into their own zone, and Myers has a ton of time. Like there was like 2 scrambly passes, and you're like, oh, but then it gets back to the guy who has no one on him, and you're thinking, all right, settle it down, just take it behind your net if you have to. You're on a power play, or I guess you're short, but like at worst case, guy comes in, you step to the side, and you fire it down, right?
Yes.
Instead, he decides he has Hughes Suter on a breakout pass as he's going this way up to the boards as Nick Paul's crossing in front of him. It's just a bad idea. It's just a bad decision. And he puts it right on the tape.
You play defense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So explain to me, because maybe Parker, things happen way faster on the ice than we see on TV. And I get that you're supposed to never go up the middle. You're supposed to go up the boards, but that was one time where you're supposed to do the opposite, obviously, because it looked like there's so much room. Was there actually a lot of room, or is it deceiving, or was there a lot of room up the middle?
I think there was a lot of room, and even if there's not, he had the time to just back up, or he had the time. Yeah, right. Like, hey, my main look, which really you're on the PK. Your main look is if you've got a guy wide open, you can kill more clock. Sure, that's a good play. Your main look is to send it down, right? Like just ice it. But he tries the sort of cheeky play and really, it's a one-on-one. Anything along the ice is dangerous, right? You don't, okay, you get that puck through to Hughes Suter, and then what? It's a 1-on-3. Like what's coming from that, right? Probably not a lot. Maybe he gets to double back, maybe you kill another 10 seconds, but probably not, right? So the play is most likely to just take his extra step back, let the play develop a little bit. No one's open. All right. If it's down the middle, if there's a lane, wherever there's a lane, send it down. And that was not the play that was made in that scenario.
Heck, as a righty on the left side, you could actually back up 3 steps and go behind the net and use that as your but not that anyone was coming. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, there was the one guy, right? There was Nick Paul, but he was a good like 4 stick lengths away. Like he wasn't. It wasn't an imminent check. Yeah, you can back up. You can kill a couple seconds. A couple guys can get a change, and then you can step out and let it go. And worst case, the guy gets on you a little bit quick, and you just fire it on the boards, right? At least it's on the wall.
Okay, so we're all screaming at the TV, but then they come on the second period and they actually pump in 2 quick ones. 14 seconds in, Besser from Miller, great work. PDG doesn't get an assist, but Giuseppe did some great work on the boards. And Miller, we've talked about this, so he's so smart. He's such a good passer, and Besser's feeling it, so that was nice.
Yeah, JT Miller has had a very good start to the season. I've really liked his game. And then you have the Tyler Myers redemption, which you said the redemption tour starts now, and I quickly shot that down. But
that was a good tweet.
Yeah. Great shot by Tyler Myers to step in, get it off, and it was a good hard shot, well placed. And Canucks have a 2-1 lead a minute into the second period, and we're thinking, all right, hey, this is what a bounce back, right? Great, smart bounce back. All you have to do now is not get outshot 3-1 for the remainder of the period.
Yeah, and you're right. After Myers, his gaff in the first period, I tweeted, "Oh man, he had so much room," and then people were joking around. "Oh, you must get Clay mad when he's actually talking smack." Well, so then he scores. I said, "Yep, Myers redemption story starts," and you said right away, check this tweet back in a few minutes or later today. And yes, once again, you're proven right.
It was so bad. Was that in the same period that
No, it was actually the fourth. It was in the
start
third,
of the start of the third. Okay.
But you're right. They get dominated for the rest of the period, and they give up. Just as the Canucks scored 2 quick ones at the start of the period, they gave up 2 quick ones at the end of the period.
Yeah, and that's a backbreaker, right? Like
Yeah.
you have that bad goal at the beginning, but you've brought it back. The guy who really gave up the goal is the one that gave you the lead back. That's great, right? That's something
Yeah.
that you can rally behind. And then yeah, you let Asimont, I don't know how you
Yeah.
even pronounce that. You let him score, and then yeah, literally a minute and 9 seconds later, you have Kucherov scoring.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tampa Bay's in front by the end of the period, and it's like what a waste, right? Like you had those,
Yeah.
you got gifted, not gifted, but you came out, you worked really hard in the first minute, and you just sort of threw it away the rest of the period.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the way, the Esteban, I remember that he was streaking down the side and he did that quick snapshot pass.
Good shot.
And yeah, maybe Friedman's stick got in the way. What was Kucherov's first goal? I remember his second goal. What was his first goal?
His
I can't
first
remember.
goal, I'm seeing it here. It was literally just a shot from like the face-off circle. Like he took a step in off the wall and just
Yeah.
shot it through like three bodies, including
Okay.
Cole.
So there's traffic there, though.
There was traffic. Yeah. So
Okay.
you'd
Then
like
do you
Tampa to
remember?
make, or yeah,
Right.
you'd like a save, but you know, it was a good shot.
So do you remember Kucherov's second goal? Goal 4 for Tampa?
Yeah, I do remember what happened, and I remember it being a power play for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Sort of a battle on the side. Canucks can't get it out, and it's really a battle. And now that I'm looking at it back,
Pettersson's it, and the key is Pettersson's in that battle.
it's Pettersson against Point, or is that Paul? Which one's 21? Is that Point?
Point.
Point and whoever that is, whoever 20 is that Paul?
Yeah, that's Paul. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so
Point
Point
and
and Paul are battling Pettersson.
PPP.
And yes, and then Tyler Myers comes in to just be
help.
a wrecking ball. Like that was his job. That's what he was trying to do, right? He didn't sort of come in slowly and go for a little poke. He didn't try to stick lift. He came in as like, all right, I can take everybody out here. And he only takes out Elias Pettersson. Somehow, very impressively, only takes out Elias Pettersson. And if you were counting, it is a 5-on-4. But when one guy takes out another guy and they're both in a dog pile on the wall, yeah, there's only two left. So now it's a 5-on-2.
Awesome. Against five of the most skilled players in the Eastern Conference, basically.
Yeah, against a really good power play, and they just sent it across, and Kucherov scores. That one was a nightmare. So yeah, 4-2, and Tampa Bay really just held up the rest of the game. Canucks made it a little interesting with that Miller goal at the end, with under 2 minutes to go. Just the shot that he had was a good shot, but yeah, it was that one. That one actually hurt. That goal, that goal made me unhappy because I'm like, oh, now I'm a little bit invested because like, oh, can they do it? And then the end of this game is what made me mad. I don't know if you remember the last 10 seconds of this game.
Tell me.
Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson passed the puck back and forth for 10 seconds from 10 to 0 on the clock. Hughes, they swap places like twice. Pettersson ends up on the point. Hughes plays it to him. They do a little 1-2-1 up the wall.
Yeah.
And then Hughes is like, well, I have to shoot it now. And he's at the goal line. It was a waste of any opportunity.
So, Parker, I know you've played the game. I play, but very casually. But at least I understand it. I know we've talked about this. It's maddening when you're at a game and you got the guy behind you. As soon as the Canucks get the puck on the point, shoot. Yeah. Obviously, they're trying to look for a lane. You get it blocked and it goes the other way for a breakaway. So there's reasons why you don't shoot as soon as you get the puck at the point. But that's when there's more than 10 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, the play there is, I mean, you find a shooting lane. Pettersson finds some sort of shooting lane, or Hughes tries to drive down the wing. Right. You try to drive down the wing, pull people over, and then try to hit a pass back door or try to go short side. But I think he thought Pettersson was going to shoot. Right. Pettersson probably looked and he's like, I don't have an angle, so we just kept giving it back. And Tampa, I mean, to be fair, it was well defended. And that was that made it difficult.
Meanwhile, I'm sure Miller's swearing under his breath. Like,
I don't think it's under his breath usually.
Over his breath, on top of his breath. By the way, I missed all of our talking. Thank you, Spartan, for the $2 donation. Tyler Myers for Prime Minister of next. So,
yeah, he does have
Nicely
one of
done.
those.
So they come out of Florida, and now they are even 2-2 on the season, and the sky is falling. Don't know what to do with Tyler Myers. Yeah, crazy.
Well, yeah, this newly revamped defense, which we knew wasn't going to be great, but with the early injuries, and we thought, hey, Myers is going to be able to, he's not been great, and he makes too much money, but he can still eat 20 minutes a night, right? And he's sort of been proving that maybe he can't. It's been hurting the team, and maybe it's a couple of mistakes, maybe a couple of lapses, and maybe he'll be better. But I mean, we did see in the following game that his ice time got cut pretty drastically, right? And it's scary because Noah Juleson hasn't been good either. So they're really they're low on options. The Friedman trade is actually seems to have been a necessity at this point. But yeah, Tyler Myers, we haven't got to the next game yet, but he was the low minute guy on D. He played 13 minutes.
I'm glad you mentioned Friedman. So Friedman, they make that trade on the Wednesday. He plays on the Thursday, and I know he got smoked by Tanner Jeannot, who's probably a foot taller than him.
that is one of the tougher customers you could try to fight.
Yeah. And I know it's his first game, and I don't know. I really like the way Friedman talk. He's got a total chip on his shoulder. I'm not sure if you heard Frank Corrado Parker speaking to Garrison Price. You got the sense that Friedman's not very liked.
Yeah, I didn't see that interview. I saw the one of Friedman talking where he was like, I just want to piss people off, basically.
Yeah. So Corrado basically said that Friedman, he hinted that Friedman basically thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. And I thought it was awesome, actually. I thought it was awesome.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it's better to think you're better, and because that might make you at least step up and have some confidence.
Right. As opposed to, yeah.
Playing scared.
But Mark Friedman, third best right shot D on the Canucks right now. So that's why he's in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And these games were, we looked at these as the Canucks are 2-0 coming in. They have the Panthers without Montour, without Ekblad, like a hurting Panthers team. You play them twice this year. Now is your better chance to beat them, right?
Right.
Yeah, same thing with Tampa. They don't have Vasilevsky, right? Like that's your opportunity. You're up against what's his name, Jonas Johansson, right? Like
sounds like a singer. Yeah,
he has a career .890. Like now is your chance to go in and score 5 and be 3-1, right? Like we looked at it and be like, man, this team could realistically be through these Florida games, maybe 3-1, 4-0, 3-0-1, something along those lines, because of how they played against Edmonton. But then it felt like, again, those first 2 games count just as much, but it feels almost like you wasted this chance to really step up into out front in the division.
Yeah, especially that, and I think you and I both called that they win the Philly and then maybe split the 2 Florida games.
Take one.
Yeah. So they put themselves in a pretty tricky spot heading into Saturday's game. So I know you're in Washington State. You're kind of focused more on the Huskies and the Seahawks than the Canucks. But before the Florida game, what did you think of the Canucks' chances to escape Florida with a win?
It felt pretty 50-50 to me.
Okay.
It's one of those things where again they're missing some guys. Obviously Sam Reinhart's been really good and continued to be that game, and they've got some players, right? Barkov's fantastic. Bobrovsky can steal a game on any given night, and he wasn't good. That was big for the Canucks. But I thought, hey, I would have called that a toss up going in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the Canucks. Oh, actually, we'll go in order. But they had a decent second period for once. But I guess we should go in order. So the first period, I can't remember what happened. I'm sure you have it in front of you.
So we had a power play goal for the Canucks. I mean, I want to start at the beginning because Shorty was right on it on the broadcast because this is the only period I watched.
That's true.
I had the sound on. It was before I left to go tailgate, and he was saying like Bobrovsky is all over the place. Like he was all over the place, like just fumbling pucks, like on passes and like to his D-men and weird rebound issues. And then the first goal of the game, Canucks on the power play. Hughes, who had looked fantastic already, gets the shot off from the point, and Pettersson has like as textbook of a screen as you can have.
It's beautiful.
Right? He is probably an inch outside of the blue paint off the heel of his skate blade. He is right in front of Bobrovsky. He makes a little bit of contact because Bobrovsky comes out to him, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And it was a perfectly placed shot by Hughes, looks like he's got a decent shot. And it was a good start.
Remember, his shot is 20 miles an hour better than last year.
Yeah, at least.
So funny.
If he does
For
this
those of
every
you,
year, he's gonna.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Just wait till 2030. The other neat thing about Pettersson screening Bobrovsky, Parker, is that just shows you that there's more movement on the Canucks power play, because usually he's stapled to that right side. Usually Miller, he goes up and down, but he's stapled to that left side. So the fact that PD sneaks in, sometimes Miller and PD swap places. Sometimes actually Hughes goes to the right and PD goes up top. So it's nice to see that they're doing a bit more now in their power play.
Yeah, the Canucks power play hasn't been bad previously, but it has been
Stagnant sometimes.
Yeah, it's not been exciting. There hasn't been a lot of movement. It's really played around the outside, get someone shooting downhill or bump it in front, do something down there.
Right.
But having guys moving, right? Like teams picked up on the Pettersson shot, right? The Pettersson one-timer, it stopped really working because it was defended okay, and he started hitting a lot of crossbars, to be fair. But yeah, if you have Pettersson, sometimes he's on the point, sometimes he's behind the net, like sometimes he's crashing the net. Having that movement makes it tougher to defend, for sure. It makes it tougher to execute also, right? It's more complicated, but it's a little more free-flowing, that was, I think that might be pretty good for their power play this year.
So then Barkov ties it up just 20 seconds later, and I think you saw this one too, where Myers and Cole, I'm not blaming them, and even Tocchet didn't blame them. They got caught both on the boards, and then they kind of left the middle open, but Tocchet was saying it should be one of the three forwards that picked Barkov up, coming straight up the middle.
Yeah, it was a play to the near side on the blue line.
Yeah.
And Myers pinches over. But if you're Myers, you also need to see that you don't have a forward there yet, right?
True.
Like, hey, it is a 3-on-2 as his puck comes in. You can't be on the wall, especially when Barkov's coming in. And Barkov with a nice finish. I mean, he puts it to the backhand and it hits the post, and then he taps it in. But yeah, that one hurt. It was like, okay, well, again, we're just wasting these opportunities, right? You have the lead, you got to hold it for a bit. But very quick answer.
And then knowing what happened in game 2 against Edmonton, game 3, especially against Philly, game 4 against Tampa, the second period, I was kind of scared as to what would happen in the second period.
Yeah. They've been outshot dramatically in the second period throughout the season. Not the case in this one.
Yeah, Susie with a power play goal. And this one was interesting. It was the second, obviously, Susie's out there. He's out there because they're expecting the power play to end.
Right. There's like 5 seconds left on the power play, right?
Yeah. And some great work on the wall. And he comes out and he comes to the middle and no one checks him, Parker. He had time to look around and see that no one was checking him.
Yeah, he has. Well, there's 2 guys who pinched on the wall to try to get the puck out. So there's only 2 guys left, right?
Yep.
And they both played, because you had one guy in one face-off dot, one guy in the other face-off dot, and they're both opposite hand, right? You have a right-hander on the left-handed side and a left-hander on the right-handed side. So they are both.
That.
If you take a freeze frame right before Susie shoots, they both have their stick in the air on opposite sides, and those defense are covering them perfectly. But it does allow Susie to just walk in. I mean, he gets a light little stick tap from behind,
right?
But he just fires it in. Was that his first power play goal of his career? I think I saw.
Wow, I wouldn't be. Well, I guess I'd be kind of surprised, but I do know. When we signed him, Parker, I would watch Seattle Kraken highlights, and he can score. Didn't he have 8 or 10 goals last year or something? Like, he can score.
Something like that. It was a good, offensive play. He was paying attention, right?
Yeah.
He only had 3 goals last year. The year before he had 10.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, like he takes the puck off the wall. He doesn't just hold it and dump it back in. He takes it off the wall, walks the line, and then skates it in.
Love it.
Yeah, good offensive awareness.
Yep, love it. And then, man, it's funny. The Canucks score in bunches and they give up in bunches right away. Yeah. Petey. This was the sweet pass from Kuzmenko.
This was an unreal play. Yeah, Kuzmenko takes it behind the net. He's got a guy draped all over him. And then, he just does the behind the back sort of spinorama somehow right on the tape of Elias Pettersson, who is in the, if you had to put Elias Pettersson somewhere on the ice and say, hey, score from here, that's the spot, right? Yeah. His right foot is on the hash mark. Like, he is dead center, and he just rips it. A perfect shot, perfect pass. That's that's what they need to do, right? If you're scoring and you have some momentum, you gotta run with it. And especially if you're giving goals up quick, it's better to have you get the second one than to give up the second one.
And Kuzmenko's pass was so nice because 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, you're going back behind the net again. But he, instead of doing that, he just dumped it before he even finished his turn. Basically, it was beautiful.
Yeah, threw it in front, and that's Yeah, it helps that, they played together all last year. They know where each other is going to be a little bit more potentially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Pettersson knows where to be. Kuzmenko knows
Yeah.
where he should be. So yeah, it was very well done.
And I know maybe we'll talk about Mikheyev after we go through the goals just to see his effect. So yeah, 3-1, all is good in the world. And then it's the third period that almost does the Canucks in this time. 19-4, they're outshot. Amazing.
Yeah, I get score effects a little bit, right? They just tried to lock it down, which I don't love as a strategy. So yeah, this first Florida goal, I mean, who's this that just skates around the entire zone? Was it Rodriguez? Just gets to do an entire lap all the way around the zone, throws it on net, and
poor rebound.
Reinhart's there for the rebound.
Yeah. That one was tough. And then the next goal, it's interesting because you think Hronek had a line on Reinhart, but Reinhart just a quick fake, or maybe Hronek wrongly anticipates he's going to go up the boards, and he leaves the near side wide open.
Yeah, he just gets burned, and that one sucks for DeSmith because he clearly fans on that shot, right? Yeah. He's trying to go upstairs, and it just slides through the 5-hole. So a bit of luck there for Reinhart. But yeah, it's 3-3, and I literally because we were walking into Huskies, or no, we were still outside. But I literally like opened my phone because I had just sort of gotten there and refresh, and I was like, oh, it's 3-3. And that one hurt to see because and my thought there is, they found a way to lose this one.
Exactly, and then Di Giuseppe takes out two former Canucks in one fell swoop. He plays OEL hard behind the net, and then Gustav Forsling, who the Canucks traded in 2015 for Adam Clendenning. Yeah, that was a good one. He tries to help, and Di Giuseppe is the one that comes out with the puck. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Again, coming into this year, seeing Phil Di Giuseppe getting put with Miller and Besser on a line, I'm looking at him like, what are we doing here, guys? That's your second line winger. What a player he's been so far. Just going in, winning seemingly every battle, just creating goals, right? Like that is a 1-on-2 where he outworks one guy. The guy then gets support. He shields it from him and then slides it perfectly in front to Kuzmenko. And then how about Kuzmenko? He's in the slot. He's in the slot. He sort of has two guys to shoot past. I think Barkov is in the crease also, right in front of Bobrovsky. And he just waits and waits and waits. It's not Barkov, it's 18. But he waits and waits and waits. And then if you freeze frame it, they are both just flailing. They are a pile. And Kuzmenko just finds a lane and puts it in, kicks to the sky. And it's a great goal and a good answer. Again, 1 minute after the Florida goal that tied it, they get the lead right back.
Yep. So nice play by Kuzmenko, a nice play, especially by Di Giuseppe. And then Besser, I kept watching. I thought Miller should have actually had an assist on this. I thought it was Miller that poked it up from in front of the net up to Besser, but maybe, I guess, did it touch someone else, or did he not touch it?
On the last one, the empty netter?
Yeah, on the Besser empty netter, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's a point shot, or it's back at the point. Let's see. He plays it out. No, it was a pass from below the goal line that just missed everybody and went right to Besser. Okay. And then Besser just fires it from, I don't know, that's 160 feet, something along those lines. Well-placed shot. He's got six goals in 5 games.
Wow. 30, easy, man. I can't remember what you and I predicted now. Yeah. I don't think it was 30.
We predicted 30. I think we were in the 20s somewhere. Wow. But yeah, it was a big get right game for the Canucks. They took advantage of a goalie who was off of his game in Bobrovsky, at least in the first period when I was paying more attention.
Sure.
And they held on at the very least. They allowed those 2 goals, and they didn't just turtle. Right? They went out. They got it done. How about Casey DeSmith? Hey.
Yep.
So he's
undefeated.
Played 2 starts plus 10 minutes. He's got a 938 so far this season. I think Demko's got a 930.
Wow.
So between the two of them, I mean, that's a heck of a goalie tandem. That's a goalie tandem that can do something. You look at this trade. You look at Tanner Pearson in Montreal. He's doing great. I think he's got 5 points already.
Yeah,
for the Habs. So, and for the Canucks, I mean, you're not missing him. You're looking at Casey DeSmith and you're saying, wow, like, thank goodness we've got this guy. Because imagine if we had, Spencer Martin in for those 2 games, right? And nothing against him, but last year he was not as good. They probably win. They probably don't win them both. They maybe win one. So, yeah, DeSmith has been, I feel like he's already earned this team 4 points.
Yep, exactly. And DeSmith was good for a second straight start. And then you bring Ilya Mikheyev in, and you and I have been tooting this horn since the start of the season. It just makes the lines look proper. Now you have a proper first line, proper second line that's playing like a first line. And then now you have a third line that can actually score, even though they switch it up in practice the next day. You actually have a third line that has potential in Suter, Garland, Beauvillier, even though they're all invisible so far. And then a true fourth line of muckies with Joshua, Lafferty, and turned out to be Studnicka, might be a Hoglander next game. Then that feels about right. Then it's just so much stronger now with Mikheyev there.
Yeah, up front, that is, Mikheyev's going to take a little bit to get back to full speed, but he had one good skate where he looked, like legs are there, which is good. We had no idea what we were going to get from that. So it's good to see that hopefully he's developing back to that speedster that he can be. I'm really liking how the lines are coming together. I'd love to see some more from Beauvillier.
I know.
But that hasn't been their problem yet, right? Except that one game against Philly, they've been scoring goals. It hasn't been too tough on them. But yeah, if they can start to get some more development from the depth, I mean, you look at Pettersson with 10 points. Quinn Hughes has been fantastic. Besser's got the 6 goals, and the goaltending's been elite, right? If Elias Pettersson's not going to average 2 points a game all year, right? Besser's not going to average over a goal a game all year. The depth is going to have to step up and score as well, and sort of fill in the gaps where need be. But I don't think we have any reason to be too worried about that yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what's interesting, Parker? You might not have seen it because you're at the Hawks game. So they practiced the next day, and they actually you mentioned you want to see more from Beauvillier. They dropped him down the fourth line, so they brought Joshua and Beauvillier switch spots. So they put Joshua up with Garland and Suter just to give him maybe a bigger body there. And then the fourth line then became Lafferty with Beauvillier, and then Studnicka was out, and then Hoglander was in. So that's how they lined up, at least for practice.
Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right.
As long as they don't touch the top 6.
Yeah, and I don't think they have any reason to.
No, not at all. Yeah.
No. I thought if there was going to be anything breaking in the top 6, it was going to be that PDG Miller-Besser line, and they have been unreal.
Yep.
All right, let's preview the next 3 real quick, and then we'll get to a couple questions. We've got about 20 minutes to do so. The previews are usually a little bit quicker. Let's talk about tomorrow night's game. Weird start time, 6:15 for us.
Yeah, how come?
But
what's going on?
Everything is a weird start time tomorrow because every single team in the National Hockey League is playing.
And no 2 games start at the same time, correct?
No 2 games start at the same time. They are all 15 minutes staggered, except for a couple. Usually it starts at 3 o'clock, Maple Leafs Capitals, 3:30, 3:45, 4:15, 4:30, 4:45. It's all the way 15-minute gaps all the way until you have a gap. Basically, the Rangers and Flames start at 6:45, Coyotes and Kings at 7:30, and then Flyers in Vegas at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. That one starts. So that is a late night for any Philadelphia fans watching from the East Coast. That game, I think, starts at 11 o'clock there.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's what a weird time. So anyways, once the Canucks actually play, they play against Nashville. Nashville, the definition of mid, they're 3-3. They're 500. So they're really only half a game behind us. We're 3-2. They're 3-3. And the usual suspects leading them in Philip Forsberg. I forgot Ryan O'Reilly's there. I actually forgot that.
I did too. That is
Gustav Nyquist. What the heck? When did all these guys get here? Anyway.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, Forsberg is almost on a point per game for them. Nyquist is up there too. Yeah. Novak has 4 goals. Tommy Novak. Guy who's played 84 career games. He's got 4 goals. I mean, the thing with Nashville is going to be UC Saros. He's a very good goalie. He's the centerpiece of this team, right? This Nashville team is supposed to be on the outside looking in. If you look at the sort of playoff odds, at least from the Athletic, they're at 46%. So they're one of those teams, though, that if we're looking at essentially who's competing for the wild card spots in the West, they're in that mix with the Canucks, right? So these games, even though it's game 6 for the Canucks, game 7 for the Preds, they don't seem super important, but they might make a big difference by the end of the year. So it's definitely a winnable game. It's a game that you want to win. It does wrap up the road trip for them, and yeah, if they win this one, it's a positive road trip, which would be a great start to the season.
Yeah, Saros. So I'll take a guess, Parker. So they've played 6 games, and he's played every single minute except for how many periods. So it's an even number. So
I have the stats in front of me.
Oh, so you saw. So yeah, he's played every game except 2 periods, right?
Yeah, 40 minutes. Yeah, and he's been good. 915 save percentage, and he's always good. He's a heck of a goalie. So that'll be tough, but obviously the Canucks have the goaltenders too, right? I'm sure it'll be Demko tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be Demko for 2 of these games, and then I'm assuming Demko tomorrow, DeSmith on Friday
against the Blue. I agree.
And then Demko Saturday.
And one of those weird scheduling things, we play Nashville on back-to-back Tuesdays. I know we don't have to preview the second Nashville game because that's a week from now, but 2 Nashville games in 7 days or 8 days.
Yeah. So it's a game that I feel like the Canucks should be the favorite. If the Canucks get some power plays, I think that's going to be the difference maker. The Preds have the worst or third worst PK in the league so far.
Oh, good pull.
At 67%. So obviously low sample size this early in the year, right? You're like, the Canucks have a 37.5% power play, right? Third in the league, which is nice. And this team has the skill to be a top 5 power play, if not top 10. And with the goaltending that they have and the penalty kill looking okay so far, if they can capitalize on their opportunities in the power play and again, just not throwing the game away in the second period is going to be a pretty big key.
What's our penalty kill right now? Oh, 75. Okay. Better than what
respectable.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
All
right. So that's Nashville.
Yep.
And then another 2-day break. A lot of those early this year. The Canucks then don't play until Friday night, back at home, 7:00 at Rogers Arena, against a St. Louis Blues team that cannot score. They're 2-1-1. You look at that and you're like, they're doing fine. They're averaging 2 goals for a game and 2.5 against. So they have been very low event. Really not doing much. Binnington's got a 959 so far this year. You have to imagine it'll be him against a Smith on that Friday game because the Canucks do play on the Saturday, and you'd think they'd probably want to put in Demko on the Saturday night hockey night in Canada against the Rangers. But you know what happens with Jordan Binnington when he plays the Canucks? You got Brock Besser, and now Brock Besser's scoring goals.
This could be a disaster.
This could be a night for Brock Besser to hit double digits on the season. St. Louis doesn't have a power play goal yet this year. They have the league worst penalty kill, which is impressive for a team that has only allowed 10 goals in 4 games. Their penalty kill is sitting at 63.6. So I'm assuming that's like 3 goals on 7 or 8 chances, something like that. Which isn't great.
That means they don't get penalized that much either. Then if they've only given up,
right? They've been staying out of the box, and they've been a pretty boring team. So expect that one to maybe be low event, or maybe the Canucks run out of the building, or of course that one will be like a 6-5 game because that's how these things work.
Kind of interesting how Nashville and St. Louis are our next 2 opponents. I don't think you and I, either of us, have them as top 3 central. They're exactly what you said, kind of wild card battling, but. You look across the league, and it's crazy to see teams like Arizona, Montreal, Ottawa, Detroit, all doing really well. Actually, Columbus, Philly, as you mentioned. You look at the standings.
Detroit especially.
It's weird.
Yeah, okay, St. Louis is not supposed to be a playoff team this year. No. Right?
And I don't like Binnington. I don't know what – I would just say I don't like him.
Neither do I.
Ever since he thought that he should have won the Calder over Petey. Ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. It's a game the Canucks should win. And it's one that Like, you look at Nashville, Canucks should be a better team than Nashville. You look at St. Louis, they should be a better team than St. Louis. They should
Right.
win these next 2 games. And then that Rangers game is going to be a real test because the New York
Yes.
Rangers are a heck of a hockey team.
Yeah. By the way, like the stream, if you think that Parker sort of looks like Jordan Binnington, even though I just said that I don't like Jordan Binnington, I like Parker, but I do think they look. What do you think, Parker? A little bit? Even a tiny bit?
I don't know.
Pull him up. I think you do. I think you do.
I'll pull him up. Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, I think you look like him a little bit. A bit.
Nah.
I'm not just saying that because you're both Caucasian. Really,
Similar hair, maybe.
Okay. Taylor just says you're better looking, which I would agree with.
Thank
I
you.
agree with you, Taylor.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. But I want to punch him in the face. I don't want to punch you in the face, so maybe you guys don't look alike then.
Yeah, I'd join you. All right. Let's go to Saturday night. So back to backs. Already a tough look. Do the Rangers play? Also, let me check that. I wonder if they're, because they might have like a little. Although I don't think many teams play on the Friday. No, they are in Calgary tomorrow, Edmonton Thursday, Vancouver Saturday, and then Winnipeg Monday. So they're just on their Western Canada swing for the year. Yeah, they're also 3-2. Of course, that'll change by the time we get to Saturday because both teams have 2 games. This is one of the best teams in the league right now. They have, in my opinion, the best goalie in hockey, maybe the second best. And then they have Jonathan Quick as their backup, who's looked really good so far also. But it'll probably be Shesterkin in that game. Yeah, they've got a lot of firepower. I mean, you're looking at, Panarin, Zibanejad, Nick Bonino, just who's who of names, Jimmy Vesey, Blake Wheeler.
Yeah.
And then of course, guys like Adam Fox, Connor Miller. They've got a very strong hockey team. But it's a team that the Canucks I think can hang with. Stats wise, they've been pretty similar so far. Again, low sample size, but you're looking at this group. Hey, if the Canucks win 2 of these games, I'm a pretty happy guy.
Me too. By the way, I'm just looking at New York's stats. I think Bonino and Wheeler scoreless, like 0 points.
Yeah, well, Wheeler's lost it. I think he's just not very good anymore. How old is he? He's like 30. He's 37.
Okay.
He just can't really keep up anymore, and not like his game was ever being fast, as his name might imply. But yeah, he's just lost a step.
Yeah. Is that the game they were talking about, the Rangers Canucks game last year? Is that the one of the Scorpion save, or is that 2 years ago? You were at it. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but you were at a Rangers game because it wasn't the one where you were sat.
I was at the Rangers game. Yeah, that was that one. Yeah.
Is that last season?
That was a good one. That was either very beginning of last season or it was the year before.
Oh, you're right. Yours was the year before because Ricky was saying that it was Sealaw's first game last year.
Okay,
so it was yours was 2 years ago. 160 people in here. Wow, that's massive. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Where are you thinking for this for the 3-game stand here?
All right. I think I've undersold this team. Well, we've only had to do predictions twice. So no, sounds pretty boring, but I think they can go 2-1. I don't know which one they're going to lose. They got to beat St. Louis. I hope they don't have a letdown game tomorrow against Nashville.
Yeah. They had the extra day off. They had the day off in Nashville today.
Yeah.
Party town. Could have had a late one.
I think it's going to be exactly opposite of what I think. So I think it will be 2-1, but I think the one they lose is the one they shouldn't, is St. Louis. Trap game, first game home.
That seems on brand. It's really, is this team going to be one that plays to their opponents, right? Because it seemed like that's what they were against Philly. They played below their opponent.
Right.
But like they played up to Edmonton in those first 2 games.
True.
You'd want to see them just play full tilt all year. Obviously, it's not very sustainable. This is not how things go. But yeah, if the Canucks can find a way to win 2 of these 3 games and sit at, will that be 5-3? You're pretty happy with that.
And Parker, you're right. What do we have to be to make the playoffs? We keep talking about 13 games over 500. That means every month you got to be 2 games over 500. If we come out of this, 5-3, then we have that last game. So imagine if we were 6-3 or even 5-3-1. after October. That's great. That you're right on pace for your 2 games over 500 a month. So that's great. And compared to 5-2, 3-7 3-6-2 last year, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So looking at the Athletics projections right now.
Yes. Fill me in.
The Canucks are sitting at a projected 95 points. So right on that line. Yeah. They've dipped a little bit because they started the season just below 60. They got it up to 75, and then the 2 losses and then the 1 win. They're sitting at 65 right now.
Okay.
Which again, we'd take that. That's
wait, 65% chance of making the playoffs? That's what they're saying? Wow.
And that's I think some other teams have had pretty good bumps this week. Calgary for one has jumped up a good bit. And then in the Central, you have Nashville trending upwards as well. Because they are 3-3, which I think is better than they were expected to be. So they've come from the 30% they started the season with. They're up to 46, and obviously it's just sort of a mess, right? You have Minnesota and Winnipeg around 70. You have Vancouver, Calgary, and LA in the 70s basically, and then the Oilers have dropped from the 95 they were projected at the start of the season down to 83. Good, because they haven't looked great. They obviously don't have McDavid for the next few games. So that's it's possible.
Yeah. By the way, before we go to the people, speaking of stats and projections, have you seen the NHL's new website, the Edge, NHL.com/Edge?
I've seen it. I haven't gone on it myself yet.
Yeah, so I started to poke around a little bit. Then I remembered I was in the car, so I don't think that was safe. But yeah, they don't have every single metric, but using the technology in the tags, the jersey tags, in the pucks, everything that has to do with basically speed, whether it's measuring how fast a guy skates or how hard a guy shoots. So that's really what it is. It's how fast does the guy skate, how much does he skate, how hard does he shoot, and where does his shots come from, and where does he spend all his time? Offensive zone, neutral zone, or defensive zone. So those 5 stat categories for now, kind of fascinating. You just look at your favorite player and see what percentile he's in. It's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. More data, the better.
Yes.
I'm on the Athletics playoff predictions page. They do have a new thing that they've added, which is strength of schedule. Which is sort of an interesting thing that we can track throughout the year. So one thing they track is obviously what percentage of games have been played at home. For the Canucks, that's 20. They've only played 1 home game, so being 2-2 on the road is decent. And they'll also you can also see what the opponent's projected points are. So there are 5 games that they have played. They've been playing against basically league average teams, essentially 95 points the projected of opponents. Strength of schedule for the rest of the year, the Canucks are near the bottom. Projected opponents to have 91 points on average throughout the season. No teams really, it's all like 90 to 93, literally all of them. So it's not a huge difference yet, but sort of an interesting thing maybe to keep track of as we get deeper into the year.
So they're saying that the strength of our opponent's schedule is based up to 91 point pace, and we're supposed to hit 95, so that's why it's weaker, right? It's considered weaker than okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'll take it. Does it show is it sortable about who's got the toughest schedule for the rest of the season?
It's sorted automatically. The thing is 90 is the weakest and 93 is the strongest. Which seems kind of weird, but it's because I think the teams at the bottom of the standings are projected to have so few points, while teams at the top usually aren't projected to have that many, right? No one's getting projected to finish the year with 120 points, but one team might. Right, maybe 110 points, 115 points, but they will gladly project, San Jose to finish the year with 61 points, for example. So Montreal is said to have the hardest strength of schedule throughout the year, with Vancouver close to the bottom.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I'll take it then.
All right, we got about 5 minutes to go to the people. Folks, if you have any questions or comments from this week's games. We'd love to see them here. Otherwise, anything else, Clay, that you wanted to touch on while we're here? Do you want to talk on the whole Quinn Hughes controversy on Twitter?
Really quick. You know what's so funny, Parker, is actually on Game Over on Saturday when I had Sam and Kaya on with me. I without even knowing that because Thomas Dranson's article hadn't come out yet, I actually made the point of because he was so dominant during that game And I brought up the ESPN list, and I said, how can he be ranked 60 when the four I always compare him to, we always compare to, Makar, Fox, Dahlin, and Heiskanen were all ranked in the top 30. I said, fine, you could put Hughes at the bottom of those five, even though because they're all really good players, but he's not 30 spots less than Miro Heiskanen. Right. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then you look at their stats; they're all at the same. They all have 4, 5, or 6 points. So it's not like Hughes is being amazing compared to them. Maybe they're doing what Hughes does for our team, like they're that dominant, and maybe they are. But just the perceived disrespect he gets from hockey media, hockey fans, whatever. So I've always liked him. He's my favorite current player. But I just want him to keep doing great things on the ice and shutting people up. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, look, I think he has been underrated, the Dom Lucian thing. And the reason that he gets so much heat is because of the quote that he put in from like the GM. It's like, I just don't know how good he is. And it's like, well, why are you answering the question? Right. Like I get why. And like, of course, we're a bit sensitive because we've had not many things to be happy about historically. Right. So we have this defenseman who is elite. And in my opinion, probably a top 5, top 7 defenseman in hockey. And we're saying, well, hey, maybe, put some respect on our guy, right? Like he's better than you think he is, as people who watch him night in, night out. And maybe we don't watch much of Makar and Heiskanen and things along those lines. So, are we biased? Yes, of course. But so are other people. And I think that's a fair thing to say. I think everyone's being a little sensitive, to be fair. I think a lot of Canucks fans sort of getting in his mentions every day. It's like, okay, relax a little bit, right?
Right.
But also he is fueling the fire and responding all the time too. So it's a little bit of both.
Of course. And we're naturally, as you titled this episode, Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson are elite. We're naturally defensive. We're naturally proud. We stand up for our players, especially when we consider players near the top of their position throughout the entire league. So when we get these players, which is few and far between, of course we want to celebrate them. And of course we want to be proud of them. We want other fan bases to know how good these guys are. So yes, I agree, Parker, that probably a little bit sensitive, but I don't blame fans because this is, we haven't had players this good since the Sedins. So
yeah. It's nice to have two, bona fide superstars, genuinely, and watch, like Pettersson has looked like a little bit off, like a little bit injured, probably from Tyler Myers. And even then he's like, he's the 6th player in Canucks history to have 10 points through 5 games. It's like, he's just doing things anyways. It doesn't matter. Right. He'll produce. His defensive play, I think, has been so good to start this year. He's definitely going to be near the top of the Selke conversation.
Yes.
It's fun to watch, and sort of I put on the thumbnail, like, are they going to be able to carry this team? Because the defense needs a bit of carrying, and Quinn Hughes has done that so far. And for a team that's projected to be sort of in that mushy middle of teams, it's your superstars that can pull you up from that, right? They can have games and they can earn you points on their own. And if they do that enough times, then they absolutely can.
Sure. Let's do 3 or 4 minutes of rapid fire. Edmund says, if we trade Garland, you think we can get a D-man for him? And would you still want Ethan Bear on the team still? So 2 different questions there. What do you think?
Yeah, you're not getting much of a D-man. I know the team floating around a lot is the Capitals, and they're wanting, I think, 40% retained, which at that point, it's like, I feel like you're really hurting yourself, right? Yeah. Now, if you look, like Garland so far hasn't been a world beater. He hasn't been phenomenal, but is the defenseman you're going to get for him going to be that? Probably not, right? You're probably getting a 3rd pair guy, which, it does help, right? You're probably taking minutes away from guys like Juleson, from guys like Myers, when an injury occurs, right? And you're starting to think about having to play Mark Friedman for 20 minutes a night. Maybe you don't have to do that because you've got a little bit more depth, but now you're also, you don't have Connor Garland who can step up and play 2nd or 1st line minutes if you absolutely need him to. And now you're bumping guys, maybe you bump Höglander up, and that's probably not a huge downgrade, but it is a downgrade.
And I'll answer the second part. Yeah, I'll take a healthy Ethan Bear for 1.3 million, 1.4 million. He's an upgrade over Friedman, and you could argue over Myers at 25% of the cost. Justin says this: Canucks have a better record than expected, but the starts of periods where they get dominated, where they look checked out. Is that a concerning factor as the season goes along?
It's a little bit. It is early. That those first 2 games are pulling a lot of weight so far. Because for me, I'm looking at, this team being 3-2, that's great. And comparing that to last year, big upgrade, right?
Yeah.
However, those first two games and a little bit on Saturday, they've been a much harder team to play against. And I think that's something that we can hang our hat on a little bit. So I think, the stretches where they are seemingly a little bit checked out, you don't love that, especially early in the season, because they shouldn't be tired. I think it's a little bit concerning and something to monitor. I think it's really just going to be limiting damage when damage is dealt. It's allowing the 2 quick goals. Are you scoring when they answer right back? I think it's just staying consistent throughout the game.
Yeah. And here's one more, just from me. I'll just ask you, Hughes and Hronek, what do you think of the pairing so far?
I like it.
Yeah.
I've really liked Hronek's game. He makes a lot of skill plays. Sometimes Hughes will throw it to him at the blue line, and it seems like, a lot of guys would just panic and dump it in, but he can make the little step and create something.
Yeah.
I've liked them together a lot, and I'm happy for Hughes because now he actually gets a real, potential top pairing defenseman to go alongside him.
Good. And I like this one to end off because it's positive. If you have these 5 choices, Demko for Vezina, Hughes for Norris, Peter for Selke, Tocchet for Jack Adams, and Besser for the Rocket Richard Trophy, which is the most likely to happen, whether it's this year? Let's go even nomination, not even win. How many nominations are we getting out of this group?
I think you're probably getting, if it's a playoff team, is nomination as in top 3?
Top finalists. Okay. Sorry, finalists. Yeah.
I'd say you're getting 2. If this team makes the playoffs. If this team makes the playoffs, Tocchet is definitely nominated or a finalist for Jack Adams. And I imagine not Besser for Rocket. That's probably not one of them. But the other 3, Demko for Vezina, Hughes for Norris, or Petey for Selke, at least one of those probably has to happen for this team to be in that or to be solidly in the playoffs. Petey was 7th in Selke votes last year. Yeah. He's got one less guy, the top guy to compete with. I think Petey will finish anywhere between 3rd and 5th in Selke votes this year. Yeah. Especially with the way he's playing, he could do better than that. And if the team's in the playoffs, that'll help. Hughes for Norris again, probably in that same 2nd to 5th or 6th range. Yeah, and then Demko, if he's playing like this all year and he puts up, let's say, a 9-17, which is optimistic, but that would really help this team get there. Yeah. If any of those things are happening, I'm sure that would help the team a lot.
I just think there's so many good goalies. I agree with you. I think for me, Hughes and Petey, slightly better chance of being a finalist in their category than Demko. But you're right. If they make the playoffs, Demko and Smith got to be doing something right for sure.
Yeah, and Demko doesn't have the greatest defense in front of him, right? Like that. Definitely doesn't help.
Awesome. Well, look at us in a good mood. 160 people in here as we wrap up. Canucks are 3-2. We're both predicting winning weeks, so all is right in the world. And tomorrow, you make your anticipated debut.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow, it'll be around probably 9:00, I imagine. If the game probably will start at like 6:25, so probably be 9:00 over on the SDPN channel on YouTube. I'll be hosting Game Over Vancouver tomorrow night. Awesome. So feel free to come join me over there. Otherwise, the other games, I'll do a video on my channel as I have been doing so far this season, which has been fun. Clay, what do you got going on?
I have my biggest work event of the year, not this weekend, but the weekend after. So I'll be anticipating that, getting some rest, doing some preparation, and just watching these games on the side. Not streaming tonight. Oh, thank you for setting me up. Not streaming tonight. You got joking around. We joked around about repetition and kind of just saying the same stuff. I realize every time I turn on my camera 5 minutes after this thing ends, I just say the exact same thing that Parker and I just talked about. So I'd rather have everyone come to this show instead, and then I'll save my energy for other nights. So no show tonight, but I'll be back live after your Canucks Game Over Vancouver. I'll be 11:00 tomorrow night.
Excellent. So you'll have a nice long gap with that game being so early.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, folks. If you missed any part of the show, you can feel free to rewind here or, find it later on YouTube. Maybe rewind back to the beginning. Find it on your favorite podcast platform in about 15 minutes or so. Or, of course, just listen to it on your way to work in the morning. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Everything like that. You can find me, Parker's Pucks, on YouTube, Twitter, on the SDPN channel tomorrow. You can find Clay at Canuck Clay on YouTube and Twitter, also on the SDPN channel for Game Over Vancouver for another quarter of the appearances. So, folks, have a lovely night. Hopefully, we have a few Canucks wins to talk about next week, starting tomorrow against the Preds at 6:15. Have a good one. Good night.